Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy from across the shuck, and this is just a wee chatty video. I just fancy doing this, um, and it's a subject that I've been paying more attention to, and it's not just buying for the sake of buying. I'm actually being really strategic in what I'm buying for my own collection. And that's a mixture. I do like a mixture. I mean, I think a lot of people think that I've gone off lock and knives complete. That's not the truth, but I don't need as many as I had before. I mean, I had hundreds. I don't need that amount of knives before. So I've really condensed my knives. Now I have about, I would say, 15 to 20 really good knives that are locking in my collection. And when I mean really good from budget up to higher end. But I wanted to talk in the sort of the lower mid-range to higher mid-range, and what you can buy. And then a couple of things that I do believe they're becoming so popular now. They've got up into the higher range, but they're not locking knives. But yet they have incredible blade steels, they have incredible materials, and they'll cut and do everything that the locking knives will. Now, again, I'm only speaking from a light user. I'm somebody that doesn't beat my knives. And to be honest with you, if I want to beat a knife, I'll just take a fixed blade out. I've got a drawer full of fixed blades that I can just lift out and take and beat. I'm talking about knives. If you're, you know, it's collectors who love having knives that they can fiddle with. There's a joy in taking them out and just sitting at night watching the TV, or just sitting in a room that you can take out, fiddle with, use for everyday use. And I have a real good mixture now. But I'm trying to be even more specific in what I'm buying. And I also want to talk a little bit about modern traditional pocket knives, because that is a whole new subject in this last year that has blown up. And it's going to, I truly believe it's going to keep on going, because I think an awful lot of people who had this idea of the old Shreds and the Rough Riders, and they are all great knives and they're still out there. And most of us have some of them. Some of us have more than others, me included, because I love a budget knife. But this is not the budget ones that I want to talk about, because budget ones I don't have to budget for. And I think that's sort of what they're called, why they're called budget knives. I can buy a budget knife every month at will. But when I'm trying to choose some of that mid-range to high range, I can't buy them every month. They're just not there. I don't have the money to do that. But sometimes I get a wee windfall and I'll invest it in them because I want them in my collection. So I'm going to talk over the sort of my do's and don'ts, why I think that more and more of you locking knives only people maybe try to open your eyes just a little bit to the modern traditionals. If you haven't give them a try, I think this is the year to do it, because there's some fantastic offerings out there. And I've got some here to choose from. But I'm going to start in that lower mid-range. And I'm going to say, look, I bought this week, well, about a week ago. Listen to that noise. That's just ridiculous. Look at that drop. Look at that. I mean, listen, it's amazing. It's not assisted. It's just fantastic. That is as good an action as I have on my high-end knives, my £300 knives. It's as good as action as I have on that. It actually closes a wee bit better than this Cherbakov. Now, this is not bad. I love this knife. Fantastic. Titanium M390. This is micarta, and good micarta, and 154 cm. That is just a fantastic knife. It's about 70 quid, and look at that. My Cherbakov doesn't do that. I could polish the washers and maybe get it to do that, but this is how this came out of the box. Do you know what I mean? I could make my Cherbakov like that if I wanted to, but I don't. I'm quite happy the way it is. You know, I don't, it's not a knife I tend to sit and fiddle with. This is. And like, this is about £70. So it's just a bit above budget, but that is amazing. I mean, you go back 2 years ago, I can't think of a knife that I could have got for this price and 154 cm that would have done that. Yeah, I just cannot think of, a budget, not a budget, so a lower mid-range. But I mean, it's just unbelievable. And this is where I'm going. If I'm going to buy, mid-range locking knives, which are the ones I'm going to use for the hard use, these are the ones that I'm going to go for. This is QSP. This is the Hedgehog. This is a non-locking knife, and it's absolutely amazing, and it will do everything this knife will do, but it's non-locking. Don't be frightened of long locking. That's why I think that sort of these medium range ones are maybe ones you want to start looking at and getting one in that mid-range just to see how you go with a non-locking knife if you're not used to. But I mean, they are two superb. They're about the same price, £70 each. Absolutely super. This one has 14C28N. This is 154cm. Two fantastic steels in that sort of upper budget price. This one's a liner lock, but it's amazing. But this is what people think, that traditional knives or modern traditional knives, slip joints. People think there's no fidget factor. Let me tell you, it's amazing. And a lot of knives, you get different acoustics too, which I just love, having the different acoustics rather than, different flipper methods. I tend to cut myself more on locking knives than I do on slip joints, and that is the truth. That is the genuine truth. But then, I mean, when you step up, I mean, these two knives here, this is the Spyderco Para 3, this is the Benchmade 945, a new iteration. These are pricey knives. They are really pricey knives. I mean, this is about 200, this was $200 odd, I think, when it came out. It's probably about £200 over here in the UK. This is the Para 3. It's got the fancy opening mechanism. It's got fidget factor. It's got the backlock Spyderco puts on there. Absolutely super knife for fidget, definitely. But am I paying for fidget over a good product, a higher end product? That's an awful lot of money, going up to £200. Now you can get a basic one more, cheaper than that. But this is the one that I've got and I love. It's M390, great super steel, and it's got that lovely G10, but it is only G10. This is G10 and S30V. Again, this costs about £170 over here in the UK. I'm not sure what that equates to over in the States, if it's $170 or whatever. But I know it's cheaper over there. But I love this knife. It is fantastic. I love the fidget factor of it. I love the way they have gone the extra mile to make it look pretty. They made this knife look contoured scales. Whereas this is nothing. It's just a flat piece of plastic that's been chamfered a wee bit. It could have been done more. I've had to change a pocket clip because I don't like Spyderco pocket clips. So you're adding price on. And if you wanted to go to titanium handles on this or the Benchmade, which a lot of people do, they want to change to titanium because they like titanium. But when you add the price of these to the cheapest, I was looking for the cheapest bug out titanium. I mean, these are £150 over here, which is about $175. Ridiculous. It's plastic, and it's weak plastic, but well, say weak. It's bendy. Now that again doesn't bother me, but it is a fidget knife, fantastic fidget knife. But it is literally just a little piece of plastic around a blade and a lock that is probably not as secure as a lot of other Axis locks that are coming out now. They're making them a bit more stronger, a bit more stability. The spring's a bit thicker, thicker on them. But the price of these is getting to the stage now where, if I wanted to put a basic titanium, now just flat, nothing fancy at all, it's £60 on top of £175 or £150, 60. That's taking it up to 210, which is about $235 for a basic bug out in S30V. To me, I'm not getting the money. To me, that is not value to the money when I put it up against the modern traditional knives. And I've got a couple here that I just want to show you that I have to go. This is the Tactile Turn. This is an amazing knife. If you got the bug out for lightness, this is the same weight as the bug out. Same weight, bug out. Right? Okay. This is £200, which is more than the base model of this, which is about 175. This is 200. This has got titanium, superbly milled scales, lovely pivot, and it's got MagnaCut. Yes, I got it right this time. It's got MagnaCut steel. Rockweld to 61. They tell you what it is, which is not probably the best way to get Maximate is 62, 63, 64 even, but 62, 63. This is just underneath that. But these are knives that, you know, I can use this for anything. It's a thin blade stock, but you've got a super strong, you know, really ready for anything blade steel and MagnaCut so far. And so far, since I've had it, it's a super slicer. It's so thin, it'll slice through anything. And that's what I do on a regular basis. I slice things. I don't cut so much. I don't hard use at all. I mean, I wouldn't want to put this to hard use. I mean, if I think I'm going to do hard use, I'll take this with me and this, because I normally carry two knives anyway. One of them will be a hard use, and one of them will be this sort of knife, which I will use more than the hard use because it's just a lovely knife. It's easy to bring out. It's not going to scare people. You don't have to flick it with your hands. But listen, there's another one. There's a different acoustic. It's like a little ting with this. And it's beautiful. You know, it really is lovely. And that is fidget factor. The other thing with this milled titanium, just put my hand in my pocket and doing that, I could do that all day long. It is just fantastic. And again, you know, this is not much more than one of these, and it's definitely about the same price as one of these, but I'm getting MagnaCut instead of M390. There's nothing wrong with M390. It's a really good blade steel. But S30V, you know, there's not much difference. It's £25 difference in getting one of these as a Benchmade 945. Now, would I not buy the Benchmade 945? No, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did it before the price hike, but I'm really glad that I did it. And I love the knife. It's one of my favourite locking knives. Fantastic knife. But to get this and try it, just to see what it's like in your pocket, I have a little slip with it. And with the little slip, my knife and a pen, that all weighs 3 ounces. It's nothing. And I've got a pen, a knife and a slip. Just the perfect. And I actually come with these lanyards, which is brilliant for just pulling it out of your slip. I love it. This is just a wee leather slip. But that's fantastic. This is the sort of things that I'm now looking for so that my money is being spent wisely. Getting titanium and MagnaCut, that's going to hold its price fairly well. Now, Spyderco's hold their price fairly well, and so do Benchmade. But for how long? Because when you can get budget knives that have an action like this, that are every bit as, fidget friendly, this is, and they've got ones with holes, they've got axis lock ones now in this mid-range that are stupendous, every bit as good as these older models. And in reality, that's what they are. These are older knives. I mean, the 940 is over 20-year-old. Why are we still investing all our money in stuff that's bygone days? Buy them in the secondary market by all means. But if you're going to spend that amount of money, why not invest it in more high-end knives that are giving you more of what is good? These are good. Titanium MagnaCut. Perfect. And here's the other one, the Jack Wolf knives. Everybody, when they come out, says, oh, they're too dear, they're too dear. But you're now, after a year, Ben has upgraded the steel. He hasn't charged any more for it. And I'm not going to say they'll not go up ever. I mean, they'll have to eventually. Everything goes up. But after a year, he's upgraded the steel to S90V, which is a stunning steel. You know, it beats your M390, your S30V. Right, stop, boys, please. Here, come on, get a treat. Sorry, my wife's out, so I've got the animals here with me. So, I mean, look at this. You're getting titanium. You're getting this most beautiful micarta in this purple haze jungle carbon fiber where I get confused with them all. It's absolutely stunning. It really is. And this is just one model. You have a lot of different models to pick from. Look at that blade shape, that sort of upturned. It's just beautiful. In hand, absolutely as comfortable as they come. Again, am I going to take this out and use it hard use? It's got S90V steel, which is amazing. It's got the titanium and micarta. This is not a hard use knife. Do you know what I mean? And neither is a bug out, or even the 945. It's a smaller. It's not really what I would call a hard use knife, yet it is one of my favourites. But I mean, there's plenty of opportunities out there, and I think now is the time that if you've had little thoughts of maybe try a wee slip joint to see what it is, and you don't want to go to that that expensive stop, please. You don't want to go to that really high end. There's plenty of knives out there in the mid range, like the what is this? Not Artisan. This is QSP. Couldn't think QSP. That are out there. Have a look around and just see that instead this year, maybe try out a good mid range slip joint or a high end, because the high end's only as dear. If you're already buying these two, you can buy them. There's not that much difference. And I mean, bug outs, people are buying bug outs all the time. Then they put scales on, then they put clips on them, then they, maybe get them coated in something. And they're more expensive than these. You put a titanium scale on this and it's more expensive than these. Do you know what I mean? All right, this one is 300, but that's 200. It's going to come somewhere in between these two when you put a titanium scale on it and then add the price of a clip. I think this year, I think it's worth it. Now, I love my slip joints, and don't get me wrong, I'm not being an advocate for pushing slip joints, but I just think, these are tired. Honestly, I don't understand. I love them as knives. I love having one of them. I love having this. I love having this. I've got a Benchmade 940. I haven't got many Spydercos at all. I think that's the only Spyderco I've got at the moment. I think it is. I think it's the only Spyderco I've got. And it does everything that all the other Spydercos do with the hole opening. And this one has the back lock. I mean, this is a fantastic knife. I love it. It's one that I want to use, hard use, but it's not a fancy knife. To me, I don't find it fancy. I find it very functional. Same as this is functional. It's not fancy, but I think it even looks better. And it's, going to be less than half the price of that. And plenty of fidget factor in this. I mean, honestly, that knife is ridiculous. If you haven't got one of these, you've got to try it. It's the Kizer, what do they call it? T1, that's it, sorry. It's a Kizer T1. They used to have a Kizer in titanium. In fact, I think they still do make the T1 in titanium, but honestly, that is as good as, it's at least as good as a movement as the T1 in titanium. It's beautiful. But I really would love, maybe somebody who's out there who's had the thought about it, give it a try and see what you think, but come back and let me know on the channel, Paddy. You asked me to give it a try. I've tried this one. It's nice, but it's not for me. That doesn't matter. The fact that we're trying different things, these are the bygone days. Do you know what I mean? Between 10 and 20 years old, a lot of these knives out there, we're still buying up off Spyderco. As soon as they bring a new little iteration, you're just buying them. Yes, they're good knives. I'm not saying they're not good knives. They're great. But do you need 10 of the same, the same style, the same, everything about them is samey. And that's why I think, do stretch your wings a wee bit. It makes the hobby more interesting when you've got sort of, you've got budget, you've got mid, and you've got high range in locking knives. You've got budget, you've got mid range and high range in slip joints or modern traditionals. I mean, they're not modern traditionals. They're just modern slip joints. They're not traditional. They're not made the traditional way. They might have a semblance to them, but they're not traditionals. But they are slip joints. And I think, this is the time now to get used to one, see whether you like it. Because I would say this year, just Paddy's prediction, I think you're going to find an awful lot more slip joints hitting the shelves this year coming, because last year was the start. And like Jack Wolf and these are, this is made in China with an American designer, and a lot of the parts from the US. This is totally made in the US. So there's no excuse for buying either other. If you don't like China, buy the American. If you don't care which one, buy one of each. It doesn't matter. I'm not for trying to sell you, knives that are just China made. So, in conclusion, spread your wings a wee bit. I think, and especially if you're coming around, don't keep chasing the same knife that you see everybody else chasing. Try and look out for something a wee bit different. Have you looking for something high? Looking for something different. Um, Budget range. This is my Carta, and it's impeccable the way it's been done. It is impeccable. Really beautiful knife. And there's plenty more out there that are as good as that. Still, my favourite locking knife. I don't regret paying the money for it because I love it. And to me, it's worth it to me. It's worth it to me. But I don't need 5 of them. I've got the large and the small. And as far as Benchmade goes at the minute and the prices they're putting them up to, I'll not be looking for another Benchmade this year. Definitely not. No matter how good it is, I don't need to. Unless it's a completely new model that is going to be worth the value that they're asking, because I think I know the warranty's great. Don't get me wrong. I know it's great, but I still think that they're hitting the price way too much. When you've got imports that are coming in from China that are 70 quid and are this good. Sorry. This is just good. This is good. This is not Chinese muck. This is good. This is high end as they get. This is high end as they get, US made at a price that I think is really reasonable. It's a small knife, but it's the materials and the mechanism that goes with it. This Chinese made, American made. So I'm not trying to change your perception. I just think that I think there's going to be a wave, and it'll be the next big thing. And I think now's the time to get in because there's not as much choice. So it doesn't give you that, there's too many. I don't know which one I want. Now's the time to do it before the market is going to be hit with them. I truly believe that. Slip joint knives from budget to high end, mid range, they're going to be everywhere this year. So I'm probably repeating myself, but I just think it would be nice if we got more people into the hobby that are not chasing, 500 Spydercos that all sort of look the same, or 500 Benchmades that are using that same axis lock, and just there's not much different. I just think it's time we opened our mind up to different things and even different price ranges that maybe you haven't done before. Sell 2 Spydercos, buy a modern traditional. Do you know what I mean? You'll get a really good modern traditional for 2 Spydercos. If you've got a stack of them or Benchmades, just trade them off and try it just once and see if you like it. And from the heart, I know everybody can't afford the higher end ones, but if you can, or if you can sell a couple of knives and get one, I really would. These are 2 that I know I've got them in my collection, but this Tactile Turn and this Jack Wolf knife are 2 of the best out there that I've sort of come across, that I've had use with. And I can only say, you can go to Customs. Our Customs are lovely. They really are. Your GECs, fantastic. That's my collection. That's my heart. But this is my knives that I use most of all and that I carry most of all. And they're in this slip joint range. Or if it's a locking knife I want to carry, it's going to be this small pocket size little Benchmade, which I love. There you go. Tell me down below what you think. Have you tried a slip joint this year or recently to see what the quality and the standards like? Where do you want to fall into that? Would you feel safer falling into the medium range ones in both categories? But this was a huge find, and this year are just amazing. I think maybe just spread the wings a wee bit. Make this a year of, I'm going to try something different rather than keep buying a Spyderco or a Benchmade. Now, I'm lucky I have them. If you haven't got them and you'll want to try them, but you have to, because they're amazing knives. But some of them are 20-year-old, 15, 20-year-old. Let's move on a bit. Let's get the designers, make the designers do something new. Make the designers increase the quality of the materials for the price they're selling. This is shameful. It is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. For G10 and, that one's M390, which is a great steel, but for G10, that's a ridiculous price. Put titanium on me and charge me the same price, 200 odd pound, and I'll pay for it. With a good blade steel, titanium, it's worth 200 odd pounds. But this is not. Sorry. I think that it's gone mad. It's gone mad. And look what happened last year with COVID and everybody getting stuck at home and all, and people losing their jobs and people not having the money. Now I think is the time, because that could happen again next year. A new flu virus could come. And I think the fact that, money is, I would rather invest my money wisely and not have a drawer full of stuff that when I go to resell it, I'm maybe not going to get nothing near what I paid for it. So I'm sort of making this year the year of choosing wisely. I still have my budget knives for the channel. Again, they're not something that's going to break my bank, and I'm not going to worry if I don't get any resale. They'll go in giveaways or they'll go to friends. That's what I do with my budget knives. So there we go. Oh, I've gone on again. Sorry, 25 minutes. Well, I'm not sorry. It's me having a wee chat. Just let me know what you think of the... And nothing's set in stone. I'm not saying everybody has to do it. I'm just saying those out there that are interested, there's fantastic ranges now with slip joints. And they're as safe as a locking knife. Honestly. Honestly, they really are. All right, bye-bye now.